The American Pro, the pinnacle of powerlifting. Where the greats cement their legacy, and those at the threshold strive to be there. Where the gods who walk among men put on a spectacle and put their bodies on the line for thousands of dollars. Who will rise to the occasion? Who will crumble under the pressure? Where 900-pound squats are openers. Where 600-pound benches are first attempts. And where the deadlift record will be pushed into legend. No record is safe. Bench day, let's go!
Bench has by far been going the best out of the big three, squat, bench, and deadlift. It's moving good, it's feeling good, everything's feeling light, even though coach is kind of being extra aggressive when it comes to programming the bench, but everything's pretty much coming up Millhouse with that. The banded bench, I'm able to get longer with the pauses, which is just me flexing on coach. It's not something that I would recommend unless you're trying to flex on your coach, that things are going a little bit too easy, a little too Gucci for your liking. It's too simple. And so coach, in response to my long pauses, my extra long, longer than program pauses last week, increased the weight on the tempo bench press that we got going on, the 303 tempo. It was at, I believe it was either 365 or 385. Now he bumped it up. He was like, you know what? This is too easy for you. Let's bump it up to 415, because I was like, this is just way too easy. This feels like an empty bar. And he's like, you realize you just said that a lot of the top guys, like 90% bench press, you said feels like an empty bar. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's pretty much an empty bar. 365 isn't anything significant. So he bumped it up to 415 this week, and the muscle memory of benching heavier weights came back a little bit, because on the first set I struggled with not being explosive, having it zero acceleration, because I feel like at the bottom you have to be the most explosive, and I've gotten to the point in my bench press where I'm not even thinking about benching anymore. I'm just thinking execute, and having to take a step back, slow things down on the way down, slow things down on the way up for that zero acceleration 303 bench press. It's a little difficult to remember, hey, I don't want to turn this object into a projectile in motion, into that class of physics. But after the first set, everything kind of clicked into place. Going into that second set, everything felt fine. If anything, the bar felt lighter than just the bar at this point. And coach is like, you know what? This is going to get real freaky real fast. Like my bench at the American Pro last year, when I went for 644, I had a small pec tear. I tore my pec a little bit, not off the bone, not a completely serious pec tear, just something that a little bit of peptides could heal in about a month or two. But I still had bruising, I still had tenderness, and I was still unable to bench press with that injury. And he's like, I could have gotten that if I brought the bar down in the right position. And he's like, oh, things are going to get real freaky real fast. I was like, is TD going to be shaking his little boots? And he was like, maybe, just maybe. So bench is going pretty well. It's really exciting how good bench is going. And I'm excited for the way that it's going to progress in the next 22 weeks leading into the American Pro.
The next day.
We got a squat day today, working up to 585 on the camber bar. So let's see how that goes.
So, needless to say, squats this week did not go very well. It was only like 57 to 56%, 585, which, I mean, percentage-wise, it's not really that significant, but when you take into account the weight, it is kind of a significant amount of weight, and playing that mental gymnastics as to rid your vocabulary of the word of heavy, kind of is difficult when getting into bigger weights. But it wasn't that it was heavy. It's that last week when I was performing sumo deadlifts, I experienced an adductor tweak. The muscle on the inside of your leg on my left side had a little bit of tweak when I was locking out one of the sumo deadlifts, and I had to scrap the rest of my training with the sumo deadlifts for that day. And it's important because on squats, when you reach the hole, when you reach depth, you want the stretch reflex going on with all the muscles going into your knee, and that includes your quads, your hamstrings, and your adductor. So when you have an adductor tweak, you kind of slow down a bit because you don't want to be quickly jostling and stretching that, because that can cause a tweak to develop into a tear. So you got to slow things down, take more time, be more patient with it, which is a real pain in the tuchus, because when you're discomfortable, when you're experiencing discomfort and you're uncomfortable, you kind of want to get things done and get it over with and get out of there so that you can like not hate your life. So it was a little more difficult because I'd have that mental victory going on to be able to push through the discomfort and finish without sandbagging anything, without backing off. I actually performed at the American Pro last year with an adductor tweak, which caused me to squat slower, which caused me to squat higher than usual. So I actually left that meet with both an adductor tweak and a bruise in my patella, but no excuses for getting your opener on third. Should honestly, I mean, this day, though it sucked, is a great character development day because it's allowing me to be able to push through the discomfort of having a tweak, because it's going to be really rare that you're going to compete when you're feeling 100%. So if you're not feeling 100%, you got to slow some things down, you got to back off a little bit, and you're not going to be at peak potential. But you want to be performing at peak potential. It's kind of a hypocritical kind of thing going on, because you're not going to be able to do what you want to do, so you're never going to have the meet that you want. But watching back on these videos, it went much better. The reps were moving good. The depth was there. It's going to be there in training and on meet day, because you want your depth to always be there, because you don't want to get your opener on your third again. And despite the discomfort, I left with no more injury, no more discomfort, and so it was basically a good day despite it feeling like doggy doo-doo. So win that day. Always leave the gym feeling like you have a victory, feeling like you've won, because if you don't feel positive about the results that you are experiencing while in the gym, you're going to have a negative connotation with your performance and progress. And you always want to feel good, because feel good, perform good. So this is a mental victory. And let's see how deadlifts go tomorrow.
24 hours later.
All right, what's up, little homies? Yesterday's squats didn't go super well, but we got a deadlift day coming up that should be pretty nice. We're working up to 585 with the bands, about a plate's worth of band tension at the top. Just under. It's 80 pounds at the top. But the adductor tweak that was re-agitated yesterday is a little annoying. I'm not sure whether or not we're going to be able to get away with doing the sumo deadlift accessory that's programmed, but I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get through the conventional deadlifts. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's go. We survived deadlifts, 585 with 80 pounds of band tension at the top. And for percentage-wise reference, that's 80% at the bottom, 91% at the top. When I was done with this, I immediately texted Joe Sullivan, my coach, and I was like, bro, how high were you when you programmed this? And he was like, I was completely sober when I programmed this. I was like, bro, that does not help. I wish you were at least a little high when you program this, because it'd mean that you didn't go out of your way to try to kill me, try to unalive me. But he did it completely sober, and I survived. However, there is a negative to this. Some of the sets, I panicked at the top of the first rep, and I did a touch and go deadlift. Touch and go deadlifts is almost the equivalent to squatting high in training to get more reps in. It doesn't help. It's not good. Technically, you're moving the weight, so kudos to you. But when you do tap and go, you're not going to a full reset. Ow! My dog just dropped a bone on my knee. That hurt. You don't actually get a full reset. You're not imitating a first rep in competition when you're doing tap and go. With bench, when you lock out, you go and you do another bench, and that's imitating a first rep. When you squat, you hit depth, you lock it out. That's imitating a first rep. Doing full lockout work on squats and bench is the equivalent to a full reset on deadlifts. It's kind of just upside down. But, I mean, I finished the training, and my volume PR with 585 is 4 reps. My volume PR with 665 is 1 to 2 reps. So the fact that I was able to do an 8x2 with way more weight, with the amount of volume is kind of mind-boggling at the difference of what I've done in the past versus what I did today. And I was complaining about this, and then I saw that Joe Sullivan and Hunter Henderson both posted a 7x3, and I was like, well, maybe I'm complaining just to complain, and this is what actual strong people do. So we survived, but I am disappointed that I did touch and go because I panicked at the top, and then we did touch and go. Stop dropping that bone on me. That hurts. I got my dog a beef femur, and he loves it, and he's like actually being normal, but he keeps dropping it, and specifically on my knee. At least he's not punching my dick, but like, dog, like, control your bone. Gee willikers. But there's not much to say about deadlifts. The first sets were good, and then we got fatigued, and the last sets weren't as good. My palms on both of my hands actually tore, not in calluses, which is weird. It's just where I set the bar when I grab the bar to start, before it rolls into place in my hand. So, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna take much recovery to recover my palms from that. But the QL tweak that I'm dealing with, the adductor tweak that I'm dealing with, the lat tweak, and the oblique tweak that I'm also dealing with, didn't get exacerbated by this. I did have to skip sumo deadlifts because of the all the tweaks going on, but we survived. That's something. Victory. Massive volume victory going on there. But it's rounds out a fantastic training week for me. We had that really good bench day. We had that mental victory going on squats, and we have a massive volume victory going on deadlifts, despite the touch and go snafu that I need to address, need to mentally and basically just mentally get more mental discipline going into the next time that I do deadlifts. Joe outright called me out on Instagram, banning me from doing touch and go deadlifts in the future unless specified, which they will never be specified because they're not a appropriate accessory for pretty much anything, because you're not imitating the first,
this I do.
attempt. You're not imitating any sort of attempts, because on the platform you do 1 rep, and in training you do multiple reps. So, but you want to do multiple first reps, and the way that you do that is you full reset on deadlifts. You fully lock out your bench. You fully lock out your deadlift, your squats. So going forward, no more touch and go. But all in all, I'm still proud of it despite being disappointed. But there's not much to say anymore about the rest of the training. Accessories were accessories. They accessoried. What else are you going to ask for? So that rounds out week 20 or 22 weeks out from the American Pro 2. Things are, despite the small tweaks going on in my musculature, things are looking positive. Training is feeling good. Things feel stronger despite the lower weights going on. My endurance is way up. My cardio is way up. My recovery is way up. My fatigue load management's way up. Everything that I can think of is up, and the weight being down is only a result of the phase that we are in programming, the block that we're in training. When we get closer to the meet, the CNS manipulation that's going to go on is going to increase the weight, reduce the volume, and we'll be able to make Jesus shake in his little booties. So I've been Patrick, Full Primal Power, your mom's favorite powerlifter, and see you next week for 21 weeks out.